And these are the symptoms or the warning signs that that is about to happen. You've got silver flooding the COMEX. Something big is coming down the pike, and you've got to be positioned and ready for it. All that we know for sure is that gold and silver are money, and we will go back to them.
Today, we uncover the brewing financial storm the media won't talk about. Silver is flooding COMEX, banks are desperately suppressing demand, and the system is on the edge. Bloomberg is finally raising the alarm. But is it too late? Something big is coming, and when the dollar falls, gold and silver will be the last ones standing. Stay tuned, this is your warning.
Relentless silver flows continue into New York. They have not stopped nor abated. The gold to S&P 500 ratio is at a trend line established in 2011 at the gold top. The ratio is higher than it was back then, meaning we have a lot lower to go. Lower means lower stocks, higher gold. You'll see this ratio going back to 2011. It's pretty fascinating. And also, the silver to S&P 500, actually the S&P 500 to silver ratio is also at a trend line established in 2011. Interesting how these things line up. The banksters are running out of room here. There's only a short amount of time, I don't know how long, until something blows up. We've got trend lines tagged from 2011. You've got silver flooding the COMEX. Something big is coming down the pike, and you've got to be positioned and ready for it. All that we know for sure is that gold and silver are money, and we will go back to them when the dollar is no more. And these are the symptoms or the warning signs that that is about to happen. First thing I wanted to go into today is the plumbing situation, and we see that we have two Bloomberg articles here back to back by my favorite plumbing author at Bloomberg, and that is Alex Harris. First, she says on March 19th, Fed to shrink balance sheet at slower pace until debt ceiling deal reached. I have one paragraph boxed in a red rectangle at the bottom here, and I want to explain that graphically. My graphic design degree comes from a diploma mill in Sri Lanka, and that's why I know how to draw red rectangles, and it's very popular, which is why so many of you watch the Silver Report for my graphic design prowess. So we have here the first article. Officials who left interest rates unchanged on Wednesday said they'll lower the cap on how much in treasuries is allowed to mature without being reinvested to $5 billion from $25 billion. So we're cutting the rate of QT, of quantitative tightening, by 80% down to $5 billion. That is almost nothing. So they're getting really nervous here that QT is going to cause some kind of a conflagration. Let's skip down to the final paragraph here with the red box around it from Sri Lanka. The longer it takes Congress to either suspend or lift the limit, the more cash that will make its way back into the financial system. That has the potential to artificially boost reserves, currently $3.46 trillion, masking money market signals that could indicate when is the right time to stop QT. So that is mostly an informative tone, and you'll see these articles get more worrisome and worrisome as we go on. This was March 19th. The next one is March 20th, and I'm going to explain graphically why more money makes it into the financial system the longer it takes them to raise the debt ceiling. You'll see that in the graph in the next two slides. Next article here, we see Wall Street uncertain over when Fed's balance sheet unwind will end. First paragraph is the most important. It's the one with the red rectangle around it. Lawmakers are attempting to strike a deal on the debt ceiling, the statutory limit for outstanding Treasury debt. The U.S. hit that limit in January. The longer it takes Congress to either suspend or lift the limit, the more cash will make its way back into the financial system. That has the potential to artificially boost reserves, meaning bank reserves, currently $3.46 trillion, which would make it hard to read the signs in the money markets that would indicate the proper timing for ending QT. Well, the reason that bank reserves are so important is because they fund the overnight repos that happen every night, and they are now between 2.3 and 2.5 trillion every night. And once about 83 to 85% of them are taken up by repos every night, then you have a repocalypse, which is what happened in 2019. This is why this is so important. So you'll see in the next article, the tone gets even more alarming. And this one isn't by Alex Harris. It's by, you guessed it, Chris Anstey. No, but he has a nice name. So it says here, Summers says slowing balance sheet runoff pace is alarming signal on debt fragility. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, said the Federal Reserve's decision to dramatically slow down the shrinkage of its U.S. Treasury holdings amounts to a worrying signal about market demand for longer-term federal debt. This is Summers' quote, and he's very worried here. He says, "This should be getting people's attention as an alarming development." Summers said in an interview on Bloomberg Television's Wall Street Week with David Weston, "The move indicated that Fed policymakers determined there was limited absorption capacity in the markets for long-term bonds. The Fed on Wednesday slashed its cap for how much in treasuries it lets roll off its balance sheet every month to $5 billion from $25 billion. Again, that's the reference to the 80% slowdown in the rate of QT. So this is an alarming development. It is alarming. Why is it alarming? Because of this. So you see here, this is my graphic and violent illustration of the problem here. The blue line is the Treasury's account at the Fed. If it goes down, that means they are spending money into the banking system. And because they cannot sell any more debt, they cannot vacuum any money out of the banking system. So money that was out of the banking system at the Fed's account at the Treasury's account at the Fed, rather, that money that is outside the banking system goes into the banking system without an offsetting vacuum out of the banking system by selling short-term debt. So you see, as this blue line goes down, the red line goes up. The red line goes up. That's bank reserves. It's going up. And the bank reserves, the y-axis on the left. And for the blue Treasury account at the Fed, the y-axis is on the right. This is just to keep it at scale. And so when the debt ceiling is raised, what's going to happen is that this blue line is going to go way back up, and this red line is going to go down really quick. And when it does, it's going to hit a repocalypse zone, which should be about 3 trillion, 2.9 trillion, something like that, which is where the repo markets seize up because there are not enough dollars to fund all the overnight repos that need to be funded. We are at 456.5 million ounces. This is way beyond an all-time record now. We've gone up about 140 million ounces in 2025. It is all being vacuumed out of London and other places, maybe Switzerland somewhat, other countries. And who knows exactly what this is being used for, but we've seen what happens in a silver crunch like this in 2020 and 2021. It was a monetary crisis over here. I suspect that we are having another one, or it's right around the corner, days, weeks, months away, no longer than that, but definitely the monetary stresses are showing themselves here. Who knows how high this is going to go or when the vaults are going to run out of room. Right at the gold to S&P 500 trend line. This is fascinating. You can see here that 2011, right, the gold to silver ratio has gone up since 2011, obviously. As we all know, 2011, this is the September 2011 gold high. And we are now at 1.86, which is much higher than this high, meaning that gold is still much lower relative to stocks as it was in 2011. So gold in real terms was doing much better relative to a stock portfolio in 2011 than it is now. But we are at this long-term 10, 12, 13-year trend line, which hit here. It was established here in 2011. It was hit here during the March 2020 crisis. And yes, gold was going down, but it was going down a lot less relative to stocks, which were crashing entirely. And here we see we are tagging that trend line again. Once this trend line breaks, I think this ratio is going to make a run for it down, which means that gold is going up relative to stocks. It doesn't necessarily mean that gold is going up in dollar value, but it means that that gold is going up relative to the S&P 500. And when people notice this, it means that a lot of portfolio managers are going to cycle out of equities and move into gold to try to match those gains. And now, interestingly, you see the same thing with the silver to S&P 500 ratio. Even though the gold to silver ratio has risen, meaning silver has fallen in value relative to gold since 2011 for sure, we still see the same trend line here. Since 2011, since September 2011, the same trend line. It was hit in March 2020. I think this is actually August 2020, so it's slightly different. This is when silver started to really jump higher around July, August, when silver deliveries were at records. We're hitting that trend line again right here. When this trend line breaks, I think the silver to S&P 500 ratio is really going to descend, and that means that silver is going to outperform stocks handily. It's already on the way to doing that. And now if we look at the historical chart, we can see here, interestingly, that silver didn't start outperforming the S&P until 1931. Why was that? Because the deflationary process finished in 1931. After deflation was over, silver couldn't go down any more than it already had. And that is when stocks continued to fall, but silver, money itself, held its value after that quick deflation after the 1929 crash. And we see here that silver only outperforms after the deflationary process is finished. But this time there's going to be no deflationary process because the Fed is going to print trillions of dollars immediately when there is banking trouble. So I don't expect silver to fall after stocks peak as it did here. I expect silver to just go up. So we can see here that this is the same trend line that we saw in the previous slide. It is being broken, and you can see how steep it is from here. When this trend line breaks, the silver to S&P 500 ratio is going to fall, and silver is going to greatly outperform S&P 500 and other stock ratios. This final slide is a tweet from Eric Young, who will be on the Endgame Investor YouTube channel next week. I will be interviewing him. It's going to be exciting. Thanks to his followers for recommending this. I'm just going to read his tweet because I think he's on to something. I don't think he's completely right about everything, but it's a starting point, and I'm going to ask him some questions about this. So we see here that he says, 1, the banksters can't borrow PSLV. Remember, PSLV is being shorted. There's a record amount of shares short on PSLV. Why are they doing this? What benefit does it have for them? He says, the banksters can't borrow PSLV shares to redeem for physical. So they're not using PSLV to get physical for themselves. They can do this with SLV. They cannot do this with PSLV. So the banksters shorted PSLV to prevent PSLV from buying new physical silver for its inventory. Because if PSLV needs new silver for its inventory, that increases silver demand even more and pushes the silver price even higher. How does it work? PSLV only adds new physical silver when the net buying of its shares are positive. Shorting simply means borrowing PSLV shares from others to sell now. The banksters have to buy back the PSLV shares to return if PSLV shares rise and their liquidity is wiped out, margin call and short squeeze. So there definitely is a potential for a short squeeze on PSLV here by all the banksters who are borrowing the shares to sell them to keep PSLV from stacking more silver, as it must do if there is net buying, which they are stopping by shorting. The more selling pressure via bankster shorts now means that even if there are more buyers of PSLV shares now, the net buying is probably flat or negative. This means that PSLV cannot add new physical silver to its inventory. Thus, the banksters achieve their goal of suppressing PSLV physical silver demand.
If you found this information valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. The financial system is changing fast. Stay informed, stay prepared. See you in the next one.